Hi everybody, it's June 15th and I'm going to do a short tarot reading on the coronavirus. I am currently in quarantine in Vancouver. I will be out of quarantine in a few days, moving to my next destination. And I'd just like to say to all the people who are feeling really vulnerable right now that being in quarantine for 2 weeks, well, it gave me an appreciation for what it's like for the people who are feeling like they really are too vulnerable to be out in the public, even if they're allowed to be. People with health conditions, in particular, and seniors with health conditions. So, being in quarantine for 2 weeks, I felt it. Okay, so take care, all of you out there. Okay. All right. And I'd like to do a reading in Spanish after this one with the same cards for anybody who wants to see another short reading in Spanish, just to practice their Spanish. You can listen to my bad Spanish. Yeah. And for my friends in Mexico. I really want to do a reading for everybody there today, too. Okay. Lately, I've been doing some tarot readings with energy clearing work at the end. It's a really interesting combination because there's the interplay of a personal reading and getting to know each other, and then doing clearing some energy blockages at the end. Yeah, it's really nice to be able to do that work. Okay. Always interesting to see what the cards are going to show us. So, starting in the present moment, Ace of Swords, a very positive card because it speaks to new ideas, and the Ace is always sort of the beginning and in some ways one of the most powerful cards around the theme at hand. So, the sword is new ideas, and often the ace represents projects, new ideas, new philosophies. And it's a strong card. It's like, going forward, cutting through everything and cutting back on things too. So, as far as people being more aware of what their priorities are and having had time to think about those things. Also, greater appreciation for things that we took for granted, and maybe less tolerance for the things that we've adapted to that aren't healthy for us. With respect to social dynamics, whether it be the system at hand or the people that we have to deal with. This is a very powerful card. This is really speaking about opening our minds and looking in a different direction. So I think this is a great card to start the reading off with. And this is something that we're experiencing universally in the present moment. So wherever you are. This card has come up a few times, a Seven of Pentacles reversed. And it's a work card. I always sort of see the Seven of Pentacles as a work card. So it's sort of like looking at what we have, looking at what needs to be done. Certainly some people are fine with the COVID situation with work. Some people have secure jobs. Some people are happy working at home in their pajamas. There's all kinds of situations out there. But This still speaking to the current situation in which people are being economically affected by what's happening with coronavirus, and looking at what they have and measuring out their resources and thinking about what they need to do. It's a very contemplative card about practical realities. It's reversed, indicating that there are obstacles in people accessing the resources that they need. And we know, in fact, that this is happening, and certainly certain parts of the world are more vulnerable um, in a sense, because the social systems are not formalized through government. And so people rely on their families. So for people that have strong, loving family units, there's always help, there's always assistance for people. And this is a beautiful thing. Some people, though, because of the nature of their families, are not so fortunate and don't have any kind of government assistance to fall back on during these difficult times. So the stress about the economic situation is very real. Ooh. Then we have the King of Wands coming up. And the King of Wands, well, I think, he's kind of the favorite king to me anyways, because he's always addressing things with respect to passion and innovation. And it's a well balanced energy of being able to see things holistically and being able to move forward with courage and savvy. So this could be a particular male figure internationally, 40s, 50s plus, probably not an older man, maybe very much a middle-aged man. It could also represent a woman. It doesn't have to represent a man. But in this case, let me just do a muscle testing on that. So, man, woman. It's actually a woman. So, this is a woman, middle-aged, in the health sector, who's taking a strong leadership role right now and making a big difference as far as how things are going for everybody. And this card is, it's mostly sort of in the near, it's in the present, but moving sort of into the next 6 weeks as well. This card is next to the Ace of Cups reversed, so there's going to be some emotional losses. I mean, the Ace of Cups is normally speaking towards new relationships. There's a problem with this relationship. The cup is running empty, and it's in between the King of Wands and the Hermit. So I'm thinking, well, the Hermit reversed, and the Hermit reversed is upright. The Hermit is more like, spiritual journey, going inward, these kinds of things. Hermit reversed is more of like the challenges that people experience when they're feeling alone and isolation. So we have this positive leader, this person in a position of power here, who is addressing and looking at the economics and some of the other things that are happening, who has innovative ideas. But we look at what's going to happen in the next few months, and what we see is the isolation that people are experiencing is pretty intense. And it could just be the results of the media and fear, how fear is affecting people, especially people who are vulnerable, people who suffer from depression already or anxiety, people who have been forced to be separated from their families, maybe people live far away from their families. So this kind of pain is really profound. Like this is still moving into the next few months, so towards the end of the summer even, that there are some losses here. And this isn't necessarily to do with this particular person in leadership, because it looks like, and I think it's a she's looking at the economics and new ideas. This is the way that she's looking at what's happening. She's not looking in particular, and this might be part of the issue, is that people in leadership positions maybe aren't understanding, like on a more profound level, how people are being psychologically affected by all this, the damage, the trauma, the re-triggering of other old traumas and things like this that are happening, while people are feeling, you know, their cup runneth empty, and isolation. And next to this, we have the Devil card. And the Devil card can represent a lot of different things. Usually, the Devil is speaking to our weaknesses, our tendencies, addictions, and things like this, which, you know, certainly will be triggered if people are feeling isolated, alone, depressed, you know, anxious. But it can also speak to that there's always people who will be interested in sort of taking advantage of other people's weaknesses and sadness and isolation. And this is, you know, because desire for power and greed will unfortunately always be there. So we have all this, you know, humanity and goodness that's happening because we have this natural crisis and people come together. And there's a lot of really positive things that can be seen in this. But there's always going to be people who will try and take advantage of people when they're most vulnerable. And so I'm not too happy to see this card like this right here. It could be speaking to, you know, people falling into other negative patterns because of feeling isolated as well, you know, because it is next to the Hermit reverse. So 1, 2, 3. So, you know, let me just ask a question about that. So I'm just going to ask addictions. No. Greed. Yeah. So, you know, I get greed over addictions for this card. Okay. So there's always greedy people who are going to try and take advantage of every situation. Being an opportunist doesn't sound very attractive to me, anyways. But we do have this card as the final card of the reading. 1, 2, 3. So we are going to reach a place of calm. And, you know, this is already happening in certain parts of the world right now. Things are opening up. People are feeling more relaxed. There's still fear. And there's still people being isolated. And this is a very sad thing. However, it looks like within 3 months, the Four of Wands is a card that speaks to happy endings. It's not just about couples and partnerships. It's about success in every possible way, you know, with respect to relationships and home life, our environment. So this is a really beautiful card to finish the reading off with. And I'm going to go ahead now and do my best at translating this into Spanish. It will be on the same channel, obviously. I hope you enjoyed the reading today. I'm really looking forward to getting out of quarantine, and I will see you next Monday at my next location. Okay, have a wonderful day.